Welcome to Dolphin Radio, podcast of Miami Dolphin fans. And now for your host, Brad Michaels.
Thank you for joining us today as we celebrate and honor a man who's had a profound impact on this organization, the National Football League, every one of his players, and the entire South Florida area. He was a man of undeniable stature and presence.
During his 26 years here in Miami, he put Miami, and in large part the NFL, on the sports map by establishing one of the great franchises in the NFL.
He was demanding. One thing I learned from him was always be prepared. Preparation. And I've lived with that the rest of my life.
We were the worst team in the league. 4 years later, we were the best team in history.
Whether it was football or whether it was being a man or being a person, he wanted us to be the best that we could be, and he meant it.
He loved the fact that he could pull guys together, push them farther than they thought they could go to be the best they could be individually and collectively. That meant everything for him.
He was simply Don Shula, the greatest football coach in the history of the game.
Don Shula is the Miami Dolphins.
We will always be grateful and will continue to honor his memory and legacy that will forever burn so bright.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Dolphin Radio. We missed you last week. I was busy driving our Dolphin Radio van down to the Fort Lauderdale area, but we wanted to start off this week's show with that moving tribute, and that was just part of it. It was the celebration of life on Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium, and it was great to be there, John. Your thoughts on Coach Shula?
I mean, he's the guy. I mean, the original young coach in the NFL, left Baltimore to come down here to Miami Dolphins and ended up being the winningest coach of all time. You know, I've had the opportunity to be around Coach. He's an unbelievable man. That 72 team, I mean, those guys, best guys in the world. And then with all his success with Dan Marino, I mean, there's not much to say about Coach Shula, but he did it the right way, and he always did like a pro, and there's a reason they call him the Don.
Absolutely. And that seemed to be the running sentiment throughout the evening. He was very adaptable, and that was probably what made him the greatest coach in the history of the National Football League, because it's, Bum Phillips at one time, he said he can take his'n and beat urine, and he can take urine and beat his'n on any given Sunday. And that was probably true.
I mean, he went from 3 running backs, running all those guys back in the early 70s. And then he gets a guy like Dan Marino and throwing for 5,000 yards. I mean, that was insane back then.
Yeah.
So you talk about a coach that adapted and moved on. I wish they would have won a Super Bowl in the 80s and 90s. It didn't happen for them. Coach Shula last year tried. They went the free agency route and really tried to build the roster. It didn't happen for him, and it didn't happen for Dan, and I feel bad for that. But anybody who's ever been around Coach Shula, it's just a pleasure and an honor. It's like me. The one story I love about Shula is he took football so seriously. Now we can bring up Urban Meyer right now. Yeah. Coach Shula, who's a Catholic, took football so seriously that the Pope wanted to meet him, and he wanted the Pope to come to St. Thomas University to meet him instead. So he wouldn't even go see the Pope because he was getting ready to win a game. I mean, what more do you say about that? He asked the Pope to come see him, not him go see the Pope.
Hey, you know what? I think Shula's probably, I kind of understand where he's coming from. Football is a little more important. You need to see me that bad, you can come over to my office.
I mean, who tells the Pope to come see them? But other than Coach Shula.
Well, I liked this. There's another story out there that I guess after, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was Bob Baumhauer, I think, told this story the other night. And he said after that loss in Super Bowl 17, he said, we get a call and it was Cephalo. Cephalo told this story. He says, we get a call in the locker room and it's from Ronald Reagan. And the president gets on the phone. He's like, well, Coach Shula, it was a tough loss today. And trust me, I know how you feel. And Shula just point blank said, Mr. President, no, you don't. And that put an end to presidents calling the losing locker room.
Oh, that's pretty funny. And that goes right with Coach Shula. One of my favorite stories is, I guess, Zonka and Manny Fernandez, they used to go fishing every morning or hunting or whatever those guys did. And they caught an alligator. Yes. And they taped the alligator's mouth and they threw him in the shower with Shula. And Shula came running out. He goes, I know you two jerks did it. He goes, I'm going to run you for the rest of the year. So they threw an alligator into Coach Shula while he's taking a shower.
And the rest of the story, too, is it's so funny because they hear the shriek, and then here comes Shula running out of the shower with nothing on but his towel.
Oh, he was upset. So yeah, that's always a great story. So as much as a disciplinarian that he is, and, the only guy that's close to him is Belichick, in my opinion, but the players loved him. Yeah. I mean, they all loved him. You knew you were going to have 3-a-days. You knew you were going to hit every practice. You knew it was going to be a tough environment to play in. And, but all those guys always respected him. And I mean, he's spanning almost 40 years. Yeah. The 60s, 70s, 80s, and then into the 90s. I mean, there's nothing more to be said that he's just a fantastic coach and a fantastic human being.
Well, I think I found out a lot more about him personally over the weekend, and I think, he was a fantastic coach, but I think he was even a better human being, just based on some of the things that I heard and his sense of humor and other things like that. I think Zonka, he summed it up best. He said, when he first got here, he said, hey, I didn't like him, and he didn't like me, but he couldn't trade me and get any value, so we were stuck with each other. And he said, I just, he comes in here and I just thought he was basically full of crap. And the next thing you know, though, we started buying into it a little by little and we start winning, and you eventually you keep on winning. And I got to a point where I was believing about 70 or 80% of what this guy said. But when he first got here, he said he talked to us and it was like he was talking a language we didn't even understand.
His brilliance is unprecedented. And the fact that you go back-to-back Super Bowls and you go undefeated, I mean, that was amazing in itself. Then the passing era comes into place, and you have a guy like Dan Marino, and he adjusts again. Yep. And no one ever saw anybody throw the football like the Dolphins did in the 80s. It was just, he always adapted.
Well, that was
funny. I heard a story about him, though. There was a painting over his fireplace. And with his new wife, Marianne. And he's like, I'm going to take that painting down. I'm going to put some football picture up. And Marianne goes, Coach, she goes, all due respect, it's a Picasso. You will leave the house before that painting does.
That's Coach Shula, because he didn't know anything but football.
Exactly.
That's hysterical. There are so many stories that we could probably tell, you probably more so than me, about Coach Shula, and it's just what a great man, what a great life. And we all knew it was going to happen at some point. He was 90 years old. He had a great life. I'm going to say one other thing. David Shula closed it out, and he said, and this is how good Shula was. He said, I saw Dad. I think he said maybe it was a couple of months before he passed. And he said, I'm over there at the house and we're in the backyard and we're overlooking Key Biscayne, and it was a beautiful day. And he said, this seagull flew over. And just so everybody knows, David has no hair. Okay. David went bald. So the seagull flies over and David sees the seagull and he looks at his dad and he says, hey, Dad, that seagull's hair is about the same color as your hair, because Shula's hair had turned completely white. And he said, Dad turned around and looked at me without skipping a beat. And he said, yeah, well, at least I still have my hair.
That's a good one. The whole Shula family is unbelievable, and I know we all miss him very much.
Yes, we do. And but we're going to always live on with his memory. I just wish that the team, let's get on to football. I wish the team that we fielded on Sunday, I wish they had been inspired a little bit more by Coach Shula. They came out and played. They started out, looked like they were inspired and fired up at the very beginning of that game, but that intensity quickly disappeared.
Yeah, we didn't make any plays and didn't make plays down the field. I mean, I don't know where do you start. We keep talking about this every week. This was a team with high expectations, and we're underachieving right now, and that's making everybody a little frustrated. I hope they can find a way to get back on track and get this organization moving in the right direction, but that's just not happening right now.
Well, it's like Groundhog Day. Every week it's Groundhog Day. We keep expecting it's going to get better and we're going to move on, and it's the same. I'm sorry to say it, folks. I don't like to really cuss on the show often, but I'm sorry. I see it's week in and week out. It's a shit show.
How appropriate. That movie was filmed in my hometown. So that's where I went to high school.
I remember that. I was actually in the Waukegan area, and I remember there's one of the scenes that was filmed on that one stretch of highway there coming out of downtown Waukegan heading up towards Kenosha.
Yeah, it's all those John Hughes movies filmed there, but I feel like Bill Murray with Punxsutawney Phil at the wheels, tell him don't drive angry. I think we're all driving angry right now, and we got to find some normalcy and get back to basics.
Well, and I want to let everybody know that, the fans are going to do this. It's going to happen. Some fans and some of the reporters, Omar Kelly, for instance, the gloves are off. Greg Cote, the Miami Herald, the gloves are off. And a lot of the fans, the gloves are off. And they're attacking Chris Greer. They're attacking Coach Flores. They're attacking Tua Tagovailoa. It's not his fault. He's not the one that was blocking for himself and takes the hit. That was on Jesse Davis. It's on that offensive line. But where I want to get to is, let's not go down this road of Chicken Little, the sky is falling. Remember one thing. We started off last year 1-3, and everybody expected us to be 1-3 after 4 games last year. It was no big surprise. What happened this year, or after the end of last year, we went 10-6. We barely missed the playoffs. Everybody came in this year with a super high expectation. If we did it last year at 1-3, and then went on a 9-3 around the rest of the year, hey, we could go on a 9-4 or a 10-3 run for the rest of this season.
Oh, it's completely possible. We've had our injuries. Will Fuller's out again. We haven't seemed to get our continuity on offense at all. The defense has played well enough to keep us in games, but we got to help them out. We got to find a way on offense to score some more points and keep our defense off the field. I always go to third down. We were 27% on third down.
Right. And the Colts weren't that much better. They were only 40%.
Time of possession was 22:51. That means we left our defense on the field all day, and they still only gave up 27 points. So we do have a positive that we can play defense, but our offense is struggling. And as far as, I've been watching this whole thing with Tua play out, and what people are saying, it's on him, though. You guys stop making up excuses for Tua. You got to stay healthy and you got to play it. And the play he was injured on was his fault. It wasn't Jesse Davis.
Well, you're right. You're actually right. He missed that one side of that blitz. He picked the blitz up on the other side, but not the other side.
Hey, if you don't want a quarterback controversy, then play well.
Yep.
And right now there's a controversy because nobody's playing well. And that's got to go back to it's got to start with the offensive line. But the quarterback's got to be the leader. And it's just not happening right now. And it's causing people to doubt Tua. I can't blame the fans for doubting him. He hasn't been healthy. He hasn't played great. I mean, he doesn't have one game that Justin Herbert has. So when people start making the comparisons, okay, I understand. He's our guy, and we're going to live and die with him right now. But at the same point, our offense has to – you got to speak for yourselves. Don't let the fans do this. If you all play well enough, the heat will subside.
Exactly.
But I understand the fans' frustration. I mean, we're not saying it's been 20 years since we had a decent quarterback in this organization. I mean, the best one's been Jay Fiedler. He was probably the best quarterback we've had since Marino. And we are used, as a franchise, we are used to having great quarterbacks. I mean, even Bernie Kosar was a backup here.
Yeah.
So there is a tough place to play at your quarterback, but the tough guys can get it going. And I hope Tua gets healthy quickly and he comes back and he settles the background noise. That would be great for the franchise. It would be great for everybody.
Well,
so,
I agree.
It's difficult, but the fans have a point.
Yeah, they do. Believe me, I get it because I've been a fan going back as far as I can remember. So, and we've been spoiled. That's something that the players, I think they need to really understand a little more, so the fan base, we've been spoiled. Greasy, David Woodley, who really wasn't all that bad, Don Strock, Marino, as you said, Bernie Kosar, then Jay Fiedler, who happened to be a very, very good game manager. And I'll even go as far as to say that Chad Pennington, he came comeback player of the year, 2008, when he led us to the playoffs. Of course, that was more of the Wildcat springing. And Ryan Tannehill, but God forbid if they could have put an offensive line in front of Ryan Tannehill, look what he's doing in Tennessee. Now this year he's having some struggles, but the last 2 years before this one, Tannehill was doing great there in Tennessee. So the Dolphins fan base is a little spoiled. And this is 20 plus years of this just mediocre or bad football, and they're tired of it. And one thing that disappointed me, and I don't know, maybe there's an unwritten rule in the National Football League that the team can't be at the stadium the night before a game or something like I don't know. I don't think there would be a rule against this. I was a little disappointed, though, that I didn't see anybody. I didn't see Coach Flo. I didn't see Chris Greer. He might have been there. I didn't see the coaching staff. I didn't see one single player from this current roster at the celebration of life for Coach Shula. I think they should have been there. I think it might have inspired them.
That's a great point. I mean, that's a great point. I love, we had Dick Steinberg die, and he passed when I played for the Jets, and the whole team went to the funeral. I mean, Dick Steinberg was a big part of that organization. Yeah. I didn't hear that, but unless they did something separate, it would have been a nice. I mean, they could have done it on Friday night. They could have done it on Saturday night. There was enough time, at least, to do some sort of celebration of the team, to make some of these young guys realize the great history the Miami Dolphins have.
Yeah.
I mean, we were the winningest franchise in sports until 2001, and since 2001, we haven't had consecutive playoff appearances. We haven't had a quarterback that lit anything up. We haven't really had a dominant tailback outside the kid from Auburn.
Or actually Ricky Williams.
Well, we had Ricky Williams, though. No, Ricky Williams was great, and those teams were decent. They weren't great teams, but they were decent teams. Right. But this is a storied franchise in NFL history. Perfectville. I mean, so I think that could have been a great motivation, and Coach Flores chose not to tap into that. And maybe it's because he wants to be focused. He didn't want to, he's trying to keep his team focused. There's all sorts of things that guys do. But we used to go to the movies together on a Saturday night. Like Wanstead took us and we all went and watched Remember the Titans together. As a team building exercise. So that I didn't know that, but that's really disappointing.
Yeah, I made note of it, and I mean, you would have thought for sure if they were there, we would have seen them because all the dignitaries, they were sitting down where the 72 Club is, those executive seats along the sidelines. And you could see the dignitaries. You saw the Shula family down there. You saw all the former players that had shown up for the event. Larry Little, Bob Baumhauer, Offerdahl, you name it. Okay. I didn't see one single current player. And I would assume had the current players decided they were going to be there, they would have been there in mass. And I can't imagine that they would have put them, off in the locker room watching it.
You could have put them in a separate section.
Absolutely.
You could put them in club level so they didn't mix with the people at all. You could have done that.
Yeah. Well, actually, that's where they put all of us. They put us in the club level.
That's really disappointing.
It is.
I didn't hear that, but that could have been a great motivational tool to get this team back on the right track, to remember the great heritage that this franchise has.
Yeah. And I even remember in the middle of it, one of the pauses in between the speakers, I remember I leaned over and I looked at Chris, and everybody knows Chris Barker, super fan. You can't miss him. He's 6'9". He's on the sidelines getting autographs and meeting the players. He's at every home game. He's at every away game. They'll be in Tampa. Him and his mom will be in Tampa this week.
Well.
Oh my God. Yeah, he does. And he's got, I don't know, somebody joked about, he got an autograph when he was out here in Oakland. When he was out here in Las Vegas for the Raiders game, he got Dan Marino's autograph first thing Sunday morning. And he took a picture of it, got the first one, Dan the man, and somebody said, that doesn't look like a very good autograph from Marino, but it's probably the 125th one he signed for. He's getting tired of it. But I remember I leaned over and I looked at Chris and I said, do you see any of the current team or current coaches? Because I don't see any of them. And he said, no, I don't. And that was when it first struck me. I was like, you missed out on a brilliant opportunity.
Yeah, that's very disappointing.
And I want
nothing more. I'm going to say the coach made a decision for whatever he thought was right to do for his team. I don't know if I would have made that decision, but I'm not the head coach of the Miami Dolphins.
Right. And I probably, just knowing the history and appreciating the history more, and I'm not saying that Coach Flores doesn't appreciate the history, but that's one thing that I certainly, if I had to, and like I said, if there's some sort of an unwritten rule or something, I mean, for crying out loud, Roger Goodell was there. He could have gone to the commissioner and said, hey, look, I really would like to take the team in there. I think it's important. And I can't believe that I don't think there's a rule. But I certainly would have not have missed that opportunity to have my team find out this is the man. This is Don Shula. Don Shula built the Miami Dolphins. This is still his team.
Yes. Coach Shula was brilliant. He was a great man. I think it was a missed opportunity, like you do, that we did not honor him. But I think the team should have showed up and honored him. Yep. Even if it was a private ceremony and they did something by themselves, or at least gave some tributes from current players. I thought that would have gone, a long way, but they chose not to. And hindsight's always 20/20.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm sitting here as we're talking about this, and I'm looking at the stats because we started going through the stats. And I saw something that I thought was really, really interesting. We basically dominated the first quarter. Now, there was I remember 2 times that I cheered. There was the sack, and then I cheered when we recovered the muffed punt. Those were the only 2 times in the game on Sunday that I actually cheered. But here's an interesting stat, and I know you're probably going to see it because you have the sheet in front of you as well. First quarter time of possession, Dolphins, 11 minutes and 4 seconds to 3 minutes and 56 seconds. But we were only able to put 3 points on the board. But the rest of the game, in the second quarter, the Dolphins had time of possession of 3:59. In the third quarter, 3:07. And in the fourth quarter, 4:41.
That's a recipe for disaster. 22 minutes in the game is bad enough, but when you had 11 of those 22, and you only had 11 more minutes in 3 quarters, you're not doing anything right. You're not moving the football. You're not keeping your defense off the field. You're not making plays. So, again, every time I look at 2.2 yards per rush, where was Myles Gaskin? Myles has played well this year. Obviously, he gets 2 carries for 1.5 yards. What do we have? 9? What do we have? 12 rushes overall?
16. But that's
16,
counting Jacoby
16.
Brissett on 3
Yes,
attempts. So.
That's counting him for a 2.2 yard average.
Yeah.
And then we only threw the ball for 168 yards. You can't win doing that.
Well, did you see our total yardage at halftime?
At halftime, what was it? I only have the end stats.
We had 69 total net yards at the half.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you don't convert third down. You get off the field and you don't extend drives. And that's what's been happening to us this year.
Yep.
We got to find a way to figure this out. I don't know what the answer is right now. I mean, I wanted more play action, but when you only run the ball 12 times, we ran the ball 13. We had 13 first downs. We only had 2 first downs running the football. So that means we were 3rd and long and could not run the ball on 3rd down and got right off the field because our 1st and 2nd down average was not good enough.
No. Well, we could have run 4 straight plays and still not have gotten a first down.
Could have won 3 quarters and I mean, there's nothing really you can do.
69 yards is bad enough for us. What's that?
Well, I think they're trying to shake things up. They dealt Grant to the Bears this week.
Yeah, yesterday for a 6th round pick in 2023.
I think they've realized Waddle can replace him. But, if I'm Grant, I feel like I had the last plane out of Kabul. I mean, I got the heck out unless they turn things around.
They have to turn things around because, think about this. We had 69 yards offense in the first half, but our defense, it was 7-3 Colts at halftime. Our defense held them to 111 net yards. So our defense had us in this game, but our offense, and here's what I saw. Myles Gaskin, Ahmed, Brown was a little bit better. He had a little bit more burst through whatever hole or he could get in the line. But Myles Gaskin and Ahmed both seemed to be running from sideline to sideline. They were trying to get around and outrun a defense that they couldn't outrun because our offensive line is not getting any push.
Well, they're not getting pushed, but I mean, we're not even running play action.
No.
I mean, so we got no play action. I wasn't even sure Gesicki still played here. I mean, he caught 5 balls for 57, but they were meaningless. I mean, he had 1 touchdown. He had a long of 22, which was good. But if you want to run the football, you got to make some plays to your tight end. I have not seen our tight end go down the middle of the field this year and make a play. And if you look at what the Patriots are doing, or you look what Tampa is doing, they are going down the middle of the field with the tight end.
Yeah. So
pulling off the linebackers, softening everybody up a little bit. We haven't thrown a slant route to Parker since game 1. And that was a great play for us in week 1. The quick slant to Parker was a good play. He's not getting enough touches. But they targeted him 9 times, only caught 4 balls though.
But he did catch it for 77 yards. It was a 19.3 yard average.
This is a long of 42.
Yeah, I know. And that skews the numbers. But I still think, Devontae Parker, and he showed it last year, he became a playmaker. And obviously he's a big-time playmaker when it came to playing with Tua. So we're going to be without Tua again this week against Tampa Bay. Tua, all points indicate he's going to be coming back for the game in London against the Jaguars. My thoughts on this is exactly what you were saying earlier, though. I think Tua, if he's going to make it here in Miami and he's going to silence these fans that are being critical of him, and I agree, it is on him because you're right. I remember he picked up that 1 blitz over to the left, but he didn't pick up the guy that hit him. So, but what I was going to say is he's got to come back. That game against Jacksonville in London, he needs to come out like a man possessed, pissed off, because he's not getting the job done and people are saying what they're saying about him, and he needs to come out and he needs to shut up his critics.
Well, if he does that, I mean, then he's got a future here. If he can't, I mean, I'm just worried that he's mentally weak. Right now, he looks weak physically.
Well, he's a human potato chip right now.
Mentally. Well, when you have so much success like you do at Alabama, and then you get picked on, a lot of those guys don't have the self-esteem to get over it. Now we're in year 2, and he's taking a lot of heat. But when you're the head of $1 billion franchise, you're going to take the heat.
Yeah.
I'm worried if he has enough in the tank to really come out, like you said, pissed off, play well, shut everybody up. Now, to me, that's a winner. And we have to see that from him eventually, or he's never going to live this down. And Tannehill wasn't very mentally strong when he was here either. And they ran him out of town. And, I had my problems with Tannehill. I always thought he was a day late, $1 short. I mean, he waited for guys to be open to throw the ball versus throwing guys open.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure at the quarterback position, but there's other young guys playing pretty well. So, I mean, if Tua is going to come out and shut everybody up so we can move on and say we have our guy at quarterback. Right now, he's not doing that. He's leaving this whole conversation open for debate. It's for him to end the debate.
Well, and I know what the conversation is, too. Are we going to make the trade for Deshaun Watson? That's back on the table. You and I tried to put that off you and I tried to table that back in training camp. Unfortunately, that's the story that won't go away. And it won't go away because of what we see in the quarterback room and what we see out of the quarterbacks on the field.
Well, if the line doesn't play better, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
True.
Deshaun has his issues. There's a lot of speculation that we are the landing point if that trade ever happens. But with all the baggage and the 22 counts, the Dolphins would need to have a lot of say-so on what happens. I mean, if we give up 3 picks and then, he's suspended for the rest of his career, we have to have an incentive to get those picks back.
Exactly.
So now it's back on the table.
Yeah, so they need to be conditional picks. Hey,
Exactly.
we'll send you this, and this as long as this, and this doesn't happen, or there's just way too much. He's got 22 women have come forward, so he's got 22 civil cases. It's going before the grand jury. A lot of people out there.
That's like a woman a weekend.
Oh, I know.
That's like one woman a weekend.
Well, it's like
it's a half a year.
That's
a
like
half a year of bad relationships.
Well, it's like Tiger Woods had 19 women, so it's 18 holes in the 19th hole at the club.
Well, he's got Tiger by 3.
And it's I hate talking about stuff like that. Exactly. And the thing is, though, is I understand, and I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, and I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but you got to wonder at some point if he's all right, if that's his thing and he wants to go to these massage parlors, what are those girls doing there? I mean, Robert Kraft had the same thing happen to him, and then crickets. We don't hear anything about that anymore. So
he's a billionaire.
Well, exactly, but Deshaun Watson's got a lot of money too. Are these women just coming out of the woodwork because they want to get some money because it's Deshaun Watson?
Well, they know what massage parlor you're going to. We had a guy get traded here one time. He knew every massage parlor within a week.
Well, we know where his priorities were.
I've never done it, but so I guess guys do it.
He must have been the most relaxed player on the team.
Well, everybody's looking for money, and you're always a target as an athlete. And as an athlete, you have to keep yourself out of those situations. I felt bad for Bob Kraft. He had just lost his wife, and he makes some stupid bonehead mistake like that. Yep. At least it's understandable. But when you're 23 years old and you got 22 counts against you, either you got a problem or they have a problem. But it sounds like you have the problem.
I think a lot of the problem is absolutely on Deshaun Watson. But if the girls were going along with it and it was consensual, well, listen, you're not smart enough to understand that you're on TV every week. You're one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League. You've got this, and those girls know that. That's why they're coming forward, because somebody, one of their friends, they said something to one of their friends or to their parents or somebody, and their parents said, make a big stink of it and you're going to get paid. And isn't that a conversation that the teams have with these young players the minute they come in? That's one of the first meetings you have.
The first conversation of the year when the retired FBIs come in, they tell the Dr. Boudreaux story. So the biggest thing that the story gets through is do not hang out in the hotel lobby, because if you hang out in the hotel lobby, something bad's going to happen.
Yep.
And the story went like this, and the FBI told it every year to us. So a guy picks up a girl in the hotel bar and goes upstairs. He gets Mickey'd, and then they have a big dude come in and take some very bad pictures with him while he's passed out. So it looks like mail on mail, and then they blackmail you.
Yep.
So that was the first story the FBI tell us every year is do not hang out at these places. Do not go to the after hours clubs. The massage parlors, you can't do that. You are a target. And if you're going to put yourself out there, you're going to get exposed or the story's going to come out. But either way, it makes you look bad. And Deshaun's got himself in a world of problems right now because of this. And I don't know if he's at fault but he's at fault anyways.
Well, yeah, he's at fault no matter what. He shouldn't have been doing it.
You're 23 years old. You don't need to go to a massage parlor.
No.
And you're an NFL athlete. Who was the guy with the Yankees? He just paid everybody off all the time. Was that Jeter? Or was it the other one?
I think
it gave everybody a gift basket.
I think it was Jeter. Oh, well, no, I don't think it was A-Rod. I think it was Derek Jeter, but I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if it's A-Rod or Jeter either.
I have a friend of mine that's a big Yankees fan. He could tell me in a heartbeat. I'll call him later.
Well, Shaq tells the same story. I mean, Shaquille O'Neal tells a story because Jerome Sally told the story. It was really funny. And some girl was like, oh, yeah, man. And Shaq gave me money. He goes, how much did he give you? $804? And she goes, yes. How'd you know it was $804? He goes, because that was our meal per diem. So Shaq was giving out his meal per diem to women, and they all thought it was the greatest thing ever. Wow. So Deshaun wouldn't be the first guy to get caught up in this, but you got to be a pro. Even Jordan got away with it. But if you're going to hang out at seedy places, you're going to put a big target on yourself, and it's not healthy.
Yeah.
But I don't want to talk about Deshaun. I mean, whatever he does, he does. But now we got to have a conversation in Miami about Deshaun, because our quarterback and our offensive play is so horrible right now that fans are looking for anything, even a potential predator.
Right. Well, they're looking at Deshaun Watson. They're not even thinking about the women. They're thinking of, and whether or not he could be up on criminal charges. They're just worried about, can this guy come and salvage our season and save our franchise? Soup for Watson.
But being here on South Beach, that's a heck of a risk for the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, for what he's already facing, now you're going to put him in South Beach? Yeah.
I mean, you're not playing in Buffalo. You're playing in Miami. There's a lot of trouble to get into in Miami if you aren't focused and you're not being a professional. You can get sidetracked really easy.
Oh, easily. And I mean, all you got to do is look at what the city of Miami is trying to do in Miami Beach. They're trying right now as hard as they can to cut down on that party atmosphere down there because it's killing the city.
There's rioting all spring break.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all through spring break, it was riots down there and fights and people being jumped. And I know the facility is in Miami Gardens now, but everybody lives in Davie and Weston, which is suburbs. It's a nice place to live and raise a family and do all those things. But these guys got to realize they're here to play football, and they're making millions of dollars a year to be the best athlete they can be. And a lot of them are cheating themselves, and they're cheating the franchise.
Well, yeah, because like you said, hey, look, you're being paid millions of dollars per year to go out there and play football. That's your job. Okay? There's millions of us fans that would have given anything to be in that position. And believe me, if it were me and I was in that position to be playing for the Miami Dolphins or any team in the National Football League, I would be watching film. I would be staying late at the training facility. And when I go home at night, I'm going home with my playbook and film. And I'm not going out and partying because I'm in the middle of a season. I don't have time to party. I can party after we win the Super Bowl. How's that?
You got 3 months off. So take your 3 months, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Be
Have a
like
big,
Rodman
giant
and
party.
go to Vegas. I don't care, but during the season, you have to buckle down and understand that this isn't baseball with 162 games. I mean, we have 17 games, and you
One
have
a
to
week.
win at least 11 to get in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like baseball where you have 4 or 5 games a week. We have 1 game a week with a bye week somewhere in there. So it's 17 games in a season. Yeah. And if you get
Even
injured,
our punter got outplayed.
oh God, I know.
Even our punter got beat.
It was, I will say one thing. Flores said it was on him, and we were bad in every phase of the game, but he said that against the Raiders. He said that against the Bills. When are you going to stop saying that? When are you going to get in there and figure out what's going on with this young team and fix it? Get them focused. They're coming out the last 3 weeks, and actually I'll go even against the Patriots. That was not a very good game. But the Patriots didn't play very well at all either. Both teams were you could tell it was the first game. But we almost lost that one had it not been for Xavier Howard, who our first show in Fort Lauderdale, we talked about Xavier Howard and the hold-in. Had it not been for him and a strip and a fumble recovery, we probably would have lost week 1, and we'd probably be looking at 0-4 right now. We have not played good all season.
No, we have not. So we have to go back to the drawing board, and we keep saying this every week, basically, that we need to see better preparation and better effort. And right now we're not seeing that.
Not at all. And it doesn't get any easier for us. We had a cross state to take on the defending Super Bowl champions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are your thoughts on the Bucs? Big game Sunday night in New England. Big game.
Is Gronk going to be back for this game?
No, Gronk is out. He's same thing with Tua, broken ribs.
So, I watched, that was one of the best games I've seen this year, even though it was low scoring, was the Patriots and Tampa. God, you can be beating them all game long, but if you cannot give Brady the ball at the end of any half without him scoring, for a man that age, he's playing lights out. He's and the whole team's rallying around him. I love their defense. That middle linebacker was a white linebacker, right?
And their defense just got better with Richard Sherman.
Well, he had 3 mistakes.
Yeah, that almost cost him
the game.
Yeah, but
Richard Sherman's going to definitely be an upgrade there because what they have 3 corners that are hurt.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
they're a little piecemeal. But we can go up to Tampa and win if we play well because their corners are banged up. But you can't give the ball back to Brady and Devin White. That guy's going to the Hall of Fame when he gets older. When he's retired, he's going to the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. He's one of the best middle linebackers I've seen in a long time. And I enjoy watching him so much. And I like watching Fournette and Brady, Antonio Brown, and
Chris Godwin.
It's a well-run offense. And they didn't put up a lot of points. The Patriots could have beat them and probably should have beat them. But Mac Jones played the lights out for the Patriots. He played great. It's a tough road to hoe, but we got to find a way to get this done. And it's sooner or later something's got to click. But it wouldn't surprise me if we went up there and upset Tampa.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me either. Because we've done, we've surprised people. Think about last year. We went on the road last year and we surprised not only San Francisco, but also the Rams in back-to-back games during that streak that we got on. So,
so we're talented enough.
We're definitely.
Even when Brissett back there, we're talented enough. He was still 20 for 30. He didn't play horrible, but he just couldn't throw the ball down the field. We have to find a way to get our vertical passing game back in play. And right now we're not doing it. We're not using Devontae Parker the way we should. Gesicki's got to make more big plays than he has. He's in a contract year. we had high hopes for him really being a star tight end, and he's really, he's just kind of been hot and cold this year. We need more plays out of him. And then our running game's got to get going. I don't know what else to say. Run the ball and find a way to get us in third and short, because if we're not going to throw it down the field, we at least got to get a first down out of it, because we are not going deep right now.
No,
and
not at all.
Our vertical offense is terrible.
Oh, it's horrible. And that's, I said that in the beginning, that I think what's going on with Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed is they're running from sideline to sideline trying to get around the corner and outrun these defenses in the NFL. These guys are too fast. You're not going to do that. You might have got away with that in college, but you ain't getting away with it in the National Football
Well,
League.
you're not seeing power in ISO. We're not running power. We're not running ISO. We're not running counter. And we're not running the play action that comes off that.
Right.
So I don't know how it is. We have two coordinators and then a third guy calling the plays.
Yeah.
Put one guy in charge. This being coordinated by committee is not working for us.
And Flores said he's not changing anything. He was asked about that this week. He said, I like what we've got. I like the system that we have in place, and I'm not changing anything.
That doesn't. Too many cooks spoil the soup.
Exactly. Yeah, you got the two offensive coordinators, and then you got the quarterbacks coach, Charlie Fry, that's calling the plays in. So, and I'm sitting here, the Buccaneers are beatable. We saw that, New England fell to 1-3, just like we are. They're 0-3 at home for the first time in the Belichick era. Think about that. But the Buccaneers, they're beatable. They're beatable. Total first downs, 94. Their opponents have 91. Their third down conversions are 24 of 55, so they're under 50%.
Tampa's definitely beatable, especially with their banged up secondary.
Yeah.
If we're going to turn this around, this is a week to turn it around. This is a week to go up there and then beat Tampa. So, and then hopefully we can regroup. Then we go play the game in London, and then bring Tua back, and then maybe, we can come out of this being 500.
Exactly.
But sooner or later, we got to step this up. It's just it's disheartening. The fans are frustrated, and the fans are reaching out, and they're not happy. The fans aren't happy with everything. And you got two courts. You got the courts that are diehard supporters, and you have the court that is, all right, we got to make changes. We got to fire everybody. In order to shut those guys up, they got to play better as a unit on offense. They got to play better as a team. They have to find some chemistry that we have not found yet. But Tampa, a win at Tampa would go a long way for us to accomplish that.
Well, and not only will the win go a long way to accomplish that, I think a win against Tampa, in Tampa, would go a long way about restoring some of that confidence and swagger that this team looks like they've lost.
Yes, of course. And right now, we're sitting behind the 8 ball right now because we have so many losses in the AFC. Yeah. You have Cincinnati, you got Cleveland, you got the Raiders, you got the Chargers, you got Kansas City, you got now Indy's up on us, or head-to-head games, we're tied with Indy. Pittsburgh's not out of this yet. Even getting a wild card right now, we're not in line to win a wild card right now.
No, because there's a bunch of teams bunched up there and we've got to go through them. Like you said, we got Baltimore, we've got the Bengals, we've got Tennessee. We got a lot of tough games coming.
11-6 may not get you in the playoffs this year in the AFC.
It might not. You might have to win 12 games. Unless you win your division at 11-6.
Well, we thought 10 games last year would get us in. It didn't.
Nope.
So we were 10-6 last year. You don't get in. 11 games may not get you in. The AFC is tough this year. It's loaded.
It's loaded top to bottom.
If you can't win your division, you don't win 12 games. And right now, there's no way we can do that.
No.
So, for being this early in the year, the outlook could be very bleak if we drop one more early. We got to go on some sort of winning streak, 2-3 game winning streak at least, just to get us above 500 and beat some good teams in the AFC East or the AFC. Even the Jets look decent. I mean, the Jets,
they're coming along.
Quarterback for the Jets, he looks really good.
They're coming along. Yeah, you look at this and you make a good point. I mean, obviously, if we get on a winning streak here, especially if we go up there, we go up across state and we knock off the Buccaneers, that gets us to 2-3. Then we've got Jacksonville, although that's in London, but it's Jacksonville. We win that one, we're 3-3. Then we come back home for the Atlanta Falcons. We could technically go to 4-3 before we go to Buffalo in Week 8.
Well, 4-3 would be good going into Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd all be happy right now if we could go on a win streak like that. We have the defending Super Bowl champions who are playing good. They won a tough game on the road against New England. But, I mean, we got to figure this out sooner than later.
Yes, we do. And that'll bring us to this section of the show for this. Well, actually, you know what? We were going to do this. I want to go ahead and come in here. Let's consider that we do win all these games that we're talking about, and we get to Week 8 at Buffalo, win or loss.
Well, I mean, if you're going to win 4 in a row, basically, odds are a loss. I mean, I don't know if we're good enough to win in 5 in a row.
Yeah,
but Buffalo may be overconfident. Maybe we sneak that one out.
That's what I'm thinking.
We're going to have to sneak a couple of these games out against teams that are better than us right now. And Buffalo is better than we are right now. And I mean, 35-0 better. So it wouldn't be the end of the world to lose to Buffalo because they're going to probably end up winning the division anyways. But we're in a fight for our life for AFC wins to get in the wild card.
Yep.
So it's not the end of the world, but I mean, it could be a nail in the coffin. If we lose 2 more games and go get beat by Buffalo.
Well, exactly. Because, we get past Buffalo, we get to come home back-to-back, Houston Texans, Sunday the 7th of November, followed by a Thursday night game. We do have a short week with Baltimore coming to town, but that's 2 home games back-to-back.
You still got Baltimore then.
But,
Buffalo,
it is still Baltimore.
Baltimore I mean, our schedule is extremely difficult. I hope that we weren't too excited for this year. Maybe we just aren't ready yet. I mean, maybe some of our picks aren't playing as well as they should have, especially on the offensive line. We understand that's an issue. But the need to improve is paramount right now, in my opinion. We got to get better. And like I said, I don't really care about wins and losses. You are what you are. But show me you're going in the right direction, because right now I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
And for a team that was 10-6 and our hopes being this high, we got to find some juice to get us moving.
Well, and we talked about that yesterday when we had a chance to sit down together. And remember, I told you about, and I don't remember who wrote it. It was on Fan Nation. But it was kind of insightful. The guy said, look, this was a 3-year rebuild. We were okay with the entire dismantling of the roster in 2019. We got rid of players that weren't going to buy into what Coach Flo and Chris Greer wanted to do. And we've got these young guys, and the reason that Austin Jackson is still playing over there at left tackle and making mistakes is they need him to make those mistakes so he can learn from them to build this offensive line and have this unit be a strength for 10 years down the road. But I agree with you. I don't want to see us regress. I want to see progress. Show me that you're going in the right direction.
Yeah, that's what everybody here wants to see. This franchise has not been very good for a long time.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I said before, we're spoiled. We had Shula for all those years, and then we were still pretty good with Jimmy Johnson. We were good with Wannstedt, until all of a sudden we weren't, and that was because Wannstedt ran Ricky into the ground, and Ricky said, I've had it, I'm out of here. And then we had the false hope with Nick Saban, and then we bring in, Cam Cameron's supposed to be the next great head coach, and he couldn't coach his way out of a wet paper bag. I remember, I believe it was Jason Taylor, he said, we knew when we went in and had our first meeting with Coach Cameron that he didn't know what he was doing. He lost the team. He lost the team before he even had him. Tony Sperano, he looked great, but then Parcells, and Parcells told Huizenga, he said, I'm going to leave as soon as the ownership is turned over because I want to work for you, but I don't want to work for anybody else. So as soon as it was completely turned over to Stephen Ross, true to his word, Parcells bailed, and we end up with the Jeff Ireland show. And, of course, we all know what happened with that. They've got Tony Sperano sitting back here. He's still the head coach, but you're flying off with the owner on the owner's private jet to go try to woo Jim Harbaugh to come down here and coach. And Jim Harbaugh told you to go pound sand because you left your coach sitting there twisting in the wind, which makes for the most awkward press conference I've ever seen in my life when you say, well, we're going to extend Tony for one more season. We knew we were going to have a losing season that year. Just from that press conference, from all of that happened. What kind of confidence does that send to your team, to your roster, that you don't have any confidence in your head coach, so why should they? And then we had Joe Philbin, then the whole Adam Gase thing, and we're sitting here, we're thinking, okay, Flores is going to turn this thing around, and then here we go again. We've seen this before, deja vu, Groundhog Day. So
it's on Greer, though. I mean, I think this is more on Greer.
Oh, I agree.
We've had a ton of picks, a boatload of picks. We've drafted people that we had never drafted high. We've been drafting them high, like linemen and things like that. That should be a fail safe. If you take a lineman in the first round, it should be a fail safe. I mean, I started for the Jets as a rookie. I started 11 games. I gave up one sack as a starting center and guard. I played two positions that year because nobody else could. The one guy, the backup center, couldn't play guard, so I got moved again. That to me, that shouldn't happen. I mean, you drafted a lineman in the first round, it should be automatic, and it has not been automatic.
Well, the only automatic that we had was Laramie Tunsil, and then we traded him to get a whole bunch more draft capital, and he seems to be fumbling the draft capital.
We have fumbled it. We punted our draft capital away. We had all those picks to rebuild this team right, and our GM has made poor decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this team. I'm wanting to win, but other than Xavier Howard, what Pro Bowler do we have on this roster? Or what young guy do we think that can be a Pro Bowler? Because it's not Gesicki.
And it's not going to be Jalen Waddle yet because nobody can get the ball to him yet.
Well, actually, I was happy about Jalen Phillips. I thought Jalen Phillips played pretty good on Sunday.
And Devon Holland has been
a little glimpse of him. So at least there's one young guy I can root for. Waddle's another one. I think Waddle's going to be somebody that's going to play for us for a long time because he seems to get it. He's an Alabama guy and he understands pressure and how to win. But as far as that offensive line, there ain't one there. We don't have anybody. It's running back by committee, so we don't have a dominant running back. We have an overpaid safety, an overpaid corner. It's time everybody starts earning their money. I mean, you have to get back to basics, and you got to find a way to turn this around, and you got to put it on your shoulders and your back. But some of these guys got to step up and be the players that we need them to be, and be the leaders that we need them to be.
Well, and I just thought of something, and I want to get your opinion on this. Everybody knows one of our famous 91s, Jeff Cross, University of Missouri graduate. Jeff's a great guy. I sent Jeff.
We hate each other with politics, though. Jeff and I argue all the time about politics.
I don't talk politics. I don't talk. I love Jeff to death. I sent him a message. I posted on his Facebook wall the other day. I said, what on God's green earth is happening in the Dolphins film room and in their practice facility? And he wrote me back and he said, it's definitely not football.
Yeah.
He doesn't think that they're concentrating on football. He thinks there's other
Jeff took that really serious. Jeff took the film room very serious. I was there when everything went down. We had we hired a coach that wasn't very good to coach the D-line. And, I remember Jeff blew up on him during film one time, and all the rooms heard it because Jeff took film very seriously.
Yep.
He was the all-time sack leader before Jason Taylor beat it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a great football player and a great person and someone I really admire.
Well, and, Jeff, his entire career, Shula. He's a Shula guy. And he had that same fire that Shula had because Shula instilled it in him. So I understand where Jeff comes from 100%.
Yeah, and Jeff loves this team more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
But he's right. I don't know what the heck's going on. And you guys aren't practicing. Are you not watching film either?
Well, he seems to think they're not watching film.
Sense.
Yeah, he seems to think. I don't know what he seems to think is going on in there, but it's definitely not football. And that makes sense because we're not seeing it on the field. So what the heck is going on there? You guys watching comedy all day long? Are you watching reruns of I Love Lucy? I mean, what the hell's going on in there?
I don't know. I mean, like you said, Flores keeps saying he wants to, it's on him, it's on him, it's on him. Well, let's get an assessment on your team.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of the reasons they dealt Jakeem Grant to shake up the locker room a little bit. And we didn't get much for him. We got a 6th rounder in 2023 for him.
Yeah.
But because Waddle can replace Grant in the kickoff return duties, he's looked to be a solid player. He's looked to be everything we thought he was when we drafted him. So whatever you got to do, shake that locker room up. Whatever you have to do to get those guys back being focused, and whatever kind of game plan you have to put in, so that we can be productive and we can convert. You got to keep the defense off the field. You can't go 27% on 3rd down conversions. You're going to get beat. You can't have 22 minutes of time of possession. You can't have 2 first downs running the football. That is a recipe for a disaster.
Well, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a disaster on the field every week. So, all right, final thoughts, predictions for this week. We're going to pull it out in Tampa, turn this thing around.
That's a tough order. I mean, it's a really tough order. But for 1-3, I say we go out and beat Tampa, and we beat them 23-20.
I was just going to say 23-21. I was just going to say it's going to be 21-20 late in the 4th quarter. We're going to get the ball back. We're going to get down. It's going to be about a 48-yard field goal for Sanders, and he's going to nail it with time running out on the clock.
Well, that's great, but don't give the ball back to Brady.
No,
run that clock.
I'm not giving the ball back to Brady even with 1 second. There's no way.
So, but I like Tampa. I'm becoming a Tampa fan. I hated them when I played. We had some great rivalries between the Dolphins and the Bucks, but I think they can pull this one off, and it would be a huge upset. But that's the way the NFL works. Tampa got a break last week when they should have lost to the Patriots. Now it's our turn to go up there and take one away from them
and do a shocker. Because here's one thing that I think of. I think that Tampa, and teams always talk about this. Don't overlook your opponent. Don't look ahead. But I have, teams do have a tendency to do that once in a while. And if there's one game that Tampa might kind of be looking towards the next opponent, it would be this game because of how bad the Dolphins have looked. So we might catch them a little off guard and thinking about their next opponent and not so much us. So I hope we go and pull it off. If we pull this off against Tampa, that could be a game changer as far as the season is concerned for us. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Any other final thoughts?
You know what the biggest upset is? The biggest week people are upset.
The week is that
the week going into a bye.
I was going to say the week going into the bye.
Everyone's making travel plans and everything else. So I wish Tampa had a bye.
Yeah,
make me feel a lot better, but they don't. But again, we're good enough to beat Tampa. We're not playing that way right now, but we can. So I hope they go back to the drawing board and figure this out this week, and give everybody something really. It'd be a great win, especially the rivalry between the Buccaneers and the Dolphins in Florida. At least let's sweep our state, between them and Jacksonville. So I'm going 23-20. I think the Dolphins, Brissett makes a couple plays down the field to Devontae Parker, and maybe Gesicki gets something deep down the middle, and Waddle will clean up and maybe has a big pump return. So I'm going to go with that.
I'm going to go with that as well, and hopefully next week's for the show next week, we'll be talking about a great win in Tampa and be looking forward to heading to London to take on the Jacksonville Jaguars the next week. Great show as always, John. And we'll join you next week right here on Dolphin Radio. I'm Brad Michaels along with John Bach. We'll see you next week, and fins up.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching or listening. And be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. And for more great content, check us out on the web at www.dolphinradio.com.